No,
there, we live.
Oh, as I mentioned,
All right, come on in here, Carolyn. Wait a minute.
It's okay.
Oh, Karen, sorry. Yeah.
There.
Yeah, we don't want Carolyn snuggling in with us, do we? Right. Say good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Yes, you can see we have a lovely guest back with us. This is not the first time she's been on our YouTube show, but we have our lovely Karen. I'm pilling about here with the camera to so we can get her in properly. So to my very right, we have Grey Eagle, as always, just standing with me to do our YouTube show. Sitting right next to me then is, who are you? Karen. This is Karen, and Karen is from Canada. And say good morning, Karen.
Good morning, everyone.
There. And as always, we have Kachuro, who is wriggling about on the sofa, driving us all crazy. And then next to Kachuro is Carolyn. Say good morning, Carolyn.
Good morning, Carolyn.
Never fails to say it. All right, so we're waiting, with bated breath for all of your questions, and we hope that you're going to, really participate with us today and get those questions going. However, as usual, I thought we would talk a little bit about ghosts, ghouls, and things that go bump in the night. Right? Now, lots of you have children, and lots of those children will see the ghosts, the ghouls, and things that go bump in the night, or they'll feel it, or they'll sense it, or they'll be aware of it in some way, because our children are much more sensitive and much more aware than we. When we get to adulthood, lots of other things get in the way, computers and what's for dinner, and how am I going to afford to buy my kids' school uniform, and all the things. I remember those days very, very well, when when you're a mother and you're juggling all sorts of things, and possibly a job as well, and you're trying to juggle the household, the family, and so on and so forth, and you're wondering, will the money stretch this week or won't it, and so on and so forth. And so, we tend, when we're in the thick of things and we're involved, either problems at work, issues with our spouse, or whatever it is, or simply financial issues, or how am I going to take my kid to softball today when I've got to take the other kid to the football, or whatever. So we tend, therefore, to let go and not even to think very often about, anything that is beyond what we can, see, and what we're involved in that moment. And consequently, our sensitivity becomes less and less. We become less and less aware of what is around us. We accept the obvious, and we become less and less aware and less paying attention to those in the spirit world, who, as always, are knocking furiously at our door, at our window, wherever they're knocking, to try to get us to pay attention to them. But back to ghost schools and things that go bump in the night. I don't believe in ghosts, first of all, as most of you will know, but I do believe that there are people in the spirit world. And I do understand, what else can we call them? People, spirits, ghosts, ghouls, whatever it is you want to call them. I see them as people in the spirit world, people who are trying to get hold of us or connect with us for some reason or another. But many of us have children who do get scared about those things that go bump in the night, about those things that that they see, they sense, they're aware of. Now, I'm sort of brought attention to this because my grandson, who has just turned 5, is going through this. This is not the first time that he's been able to see, or to be aware, or to have that knowing sense. He comes out with the most incredible things. I do write about this a little bit in my new book, which is yes, it's my birthday on Saturday, and the book is being published. That's the official publishing date. We'd hope to have it here to show to you. We're waiting for FedEx to deliver it. If it comes before the show ends, we'll quickly run out, or somebody will anyway, Carolyn, we'll quickly run out and get it and grab it and show it to you. If not, we'll definitely have it here for you next week. But kids, as I say, all kids, no matter how sensitive or insensitive their parents, all kids go through that that stage of knowing and being able to see and being aware, because they still are very, very highly attuned to, you know, what is beyond this world. And my grandson is exhibiting now those same experiences that my daughter had when she was his age, and of course continuing older, and the same experiences that I had when I was that age also. And we're very fortunate in our family, because having experienced all of this myself and been terrified as a child, having gone through all of that, you know, scary stuff, when my daughter started having her own experiences, for instance, you know, she'd be just nodding off to sleep or partially off to sleep, and the bed would start shaking furiously, and she'd, you know, sit up and the bed would still be shaking as she's screaming, mama, mama, mama to me, you know, the bed is shaking, you know, the bed is moving or whatever. And I was able to sit on the bed with her, and I was able to talk to her about these things. I was able to explain what was happening. Likewise, my grandson is going through exactly the same sort of thing. And of course, you know, kids make things up often, or they have incredible imaginations, which is why it's very important when your children are talking to you that you need to pay attention to what it is they're saying, because within what they're saying, they'll give you clues as to whether what is happening is real or not real. When I talk to people, grown-ups even, who have had experiences, and they talk to me about the experiences they've had, I pay attention, because I'm listening to the little details, and I'm listening to the things that will tell me whether this is real or whether it is actually an imagination. Not that there's much wrong with the imagination, because there's a very fine line drawn between imagination and what is real. And sometimes if you allow your imagination to move forward, you then go into the reality of a thing. However, what do we do about our children? Okay, so my grandson's father was of the mind of, don't be ridiculous, there's no such thing, blah, blah, blah. And as long as you reassure him that there's no such thing, then it's fine. That's fine. Well, it isn't, though, is it? Because no matter how much you tell a child, and having been a child experiencing this myself, having been a child who goes through these things, it doesn't matter how many times somebody says to you, there's no such thing, or you're being silly, or don't be ridiculous, or there's no such thing as monsters. Of course your bed isn't shaking. No matter how many times you say these things to a child, the child knows differently. You might placate the child, or you might, you know, get to the point where the child feels that, well, if you say so, well, okay then. But inside of themselves, they know differently, because they've experienced these things. So there's no point in saying to any child, it's don't be silly, or there's no such thing. Even if you're reassuring them, it's okay, don't worry about it, you'll be fine, there's no such thing. You're trying to placate them, you're trying to soothe them, and so on and so forth. Okay, so what I did with my daughter, and, you know, fortunately, my daughter called me a few days ago. We talked about all this stuff, which is now over the last 2 weeks become very, very prevalent in my grandson's life. And of course, he's okay during the day, but as it gets nearer to the bedtime, he starts to get worried, because that's when these things always seem to happen, don't they? You know, they go schools, things that go bump in the night, they always seem to happen at night time, when we have, you know, our defenses are so much lower than they would be during the day. And so my daughter called me with my grandson and said, you know, and told me what was going on, and Reese talked to me and told me, you know, what he was feeling, what he was seeing, and so on. And my feeling was, and I said to him, you know, you've got to talk to them like adults. He's 5 years old, but he gets it and he understands. Kids get this stuff. They understand. And so, you know, I said to him, well, even though Mama says that it's, you know, that it's not so, or Daddy says it's not so, and so on, it is in your head, isn't it, darling? And he said, yes. So I said, what we need to do is we need to give you something to do. Now, this is what I'm doing. I'm giving this child tools. I'm giving this child the ability to be somewhat in control of what is happening to him. It's no good, no matter how many times you say it doesn't happen, it's not happening. Give him something to do, give him something to work with, so that when it is happening to him, he doesn't feel helpless and he doesn't feel so scared, because he's actually can do something about it. Now, I'm hoping that you all understand why I do this, because those of you who have felt helpless in certain situations, we feel helpless when somebody goes into the hospital and we sit there and we feel completely helpless. We don't have anything to do because the doctors are doing their thing, the nurses are doing their thing, and so on. And we feel obsolete, and it makes us frightened when we feel helpless. I always give my patient something to do, and I always give the family and friends of the patient something to do. So if your children are having these experiences, you need to give them something, give them a tool that they can use, so they don't feel so useless and so helpless. And this is what I gave to my grandson. It's a small thing, it's the littlest thing, but you'll be amazed. You don't have to make things complicated. 5-year-olds don't need complicated exercises. They don't need complicated rituals. So I suggested that my grandson put his hand over his heart. He knows exactly where his heart is. He's full of love, this kid. And his favorite color is red, because red is the color of love. And his favorite word is love, love, love. And his favorite songs are all about love. He's a love bug. So I said to him, okay, put your right hand over your heart and close your eyes. And now think of one word, a very special word that you like. So you allow your child to choose the word that they can use. The power word. We're giving the child power. We're giving the child power over what is going on with them. We're giving the child power to deal with what is going on with them. We're not saying it's not happening. We're giving them power, just a little thing. It's a small thing. And so I said to him, now choose your favorite word. And he said, my favorite word is love. So I said, right. So when these things start to happen to you, or you start to see things and you're frightened, or you start to feel frightened, I want you to close your eyes. I want you to put your hand over your heart, and I want you to just keep saying the word love, 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 over and over again. It does two things. It gives him power. He feels that he can do something about it, that he's somewhat in control of it. It also takes his mind off what's going on. It fills his head with the word love, 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 love. And eventually, as his eyes are closed, hopefully he goes to sleep. And hopefully his mum or his dad, you guys out there listening to this, hopefully you're there cuddling him or holding his hand or telling them, telling him, or even saying the words with him. Do the same thing, or her. Do the same thing. Hand over your heart. Find that word that is important to you, that gives you power. It can be the word love, as my grandson chose the word love. Let your children choose the word they want to choose. Don't put it into their mind. Let them choose it. It could be dragons. It could be hearts. It could be cookies. It could be anything at all. It doesn't matter what the word is. What matters is the energy that is behind that word as they're saying it. You are giving them power. All right. So I don't know if any of you out there are interested in what I'm saying. I'm chattering away here and hoping that you're all listening to all of this. There are lots of ways when all of us will have those experiences, and there are lots of ways to deal with it. And the most important way is that we have to find our own power. We have to find our own sense of self. There are people out there who, people look to me all the time to fix them, because I'm the guru. I'm the Miss Fix-It. Well, I'm actually not the Miss Fix-It. I can fix myself. I can listen to you. I can give you advice. But unless you're willing to fix you, unless you're willing to find your power, unless you're willing to do your exercises and work on yourself, there's really nothing anybody else can do for you. All right. So, Carolyn, I'm done now talking. I'm now going to come to you guys, and let's have, do we have any questions? Do we have any questions about, amazing. Do we have any questions about what I just was talking about?
Yep.
So let's go with those questions first. Okay, yes.
First, Starshine 68 says, what a wonderful tool. Thank you.
Good morning, Starshine 60 what?
68.
Okay, 68. 6 and 8 is 14.
And
4 and 1 is 5. That's okay. I'm just doing, you go with the numbers, don't you? Right. Okay. So, okay, Starshine.
And
Right.
Denise says, good morning, all.
Good morning. Good morning.
Do you or Grey Eagle have any grounding techniques that can help us not get affected by overwhelming energy during our days?
Lots and lots of grounding techniques. We're going to talk about all of that stuff, more about that stuff when we're doing the online courses. Yes, I've finished with one bank. We now have to go to the next bank. We're trying to get all the paperwork sorted out. I promise all of the lessons are all there. We have lots and lots and lots of ways to ground ourselves. But one of the ways to ground yourself is to do what I just suggested you do. Find your word, hand over your heart, or repeat your mantra. A mantra is an amazing tool for grounding yourself and to get yourself out of the that's going on around you. If you repeat a mantra, okay, this is a mantra that I suggest lots of people use. Find your own. A mantra is a sequence of words of power. Words of power are I, powerful, the most powerful word. Remember doing our mantras, Karen? I, can, shall, will. Also, the negatives are words of power. Can't, won't, shan't. You put those negative words of power in place, you're going to get negative results and negative reactions from other people. You put the positive words of power, can, will, I am, I will be, I can, I shall. And when you're doing your mantra, sequence of words of power, put the emphasis on your power words. So for instance, if I was having let's say a bit of a depressing time of it, my mantra would be off the top of my head, I will lift my face to the sun. I will are your power words. So you emphasize, I will lift my face to the sun, and all good things will come to me, 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 me. Words of power. It's not all about me, but today, all good things will come to me. And you repeat that mantra, whichever words you choose, you repeat it 10 times over, 3 times a day. Is there some issue? What's going on?
Al sent a text that he didn't get the original invite for some reason. So.
What do we do?
I can do it now. It's
all
just
right. So we're going to just, if for any reason I disappear on you,
we're right here. Just keep talking.
We are, all right. So mantra is a sequence of words of power. Power words, which we repeat over and over again, and we say them 10 times a day, 3 times a day. Or there we are, we're back again, and we've invited poor Al. We didn't invite Al. Who is it again who asked this question, Carolyn?
That is Denise.
Okay, so Denise, if you're having a stressful day at work, or if you're, there's always that one person who irritates you or gets the English expression would be gets up your nose, really gets irritated, so yeah. If you go around and you repeat your mantra, that you have a good mantra, that will ground you completely. Just repeat it to yourself in your head when and if you feel the need for it. But a mantra works best repeated 10 times a day, 10 times over, 3 times a day at least. So you say it dozens of times a day, but at least. So I always suggest to people, do it in the morning when you first wake up, do it midday because you need that boost in the day, and do it before you go to bed at night. So, so you've got the beginning of the day, then you're boosting yourself, and then at the end of the day, you're reminding yourself you own your own power. So it's all about giving power to yourself. Is Al there or not there? Al, are you there or not there? No. So, okay. So we're going to carry on with this for a little bit. All right. Let's have
thank you very much.
You're welcome. There are gems like that and many more besides. We're going to be talking about all sorts of things when we do our online courses. Karen, can I say something there? She speaks. Actually, more to the point, and I am allowing her to speak now because all I've done is yatter on. Go ahead. You can say whatever you want.
Sure.
Look to the camera, please.
I'm not sure, but the other thing I think of with mantras is to keep it simple.
Yes.
Not to ramble on, like to have like 3 or 4 sentences.
Oh yeah, just very
simple.
short, sweet. You're right. Yes. Kiss. Keep it simple, sweetie. Okay. All right. Yes. So that's true. Karen has been a student of mine forever, for many years. How many years?
I think a couple of years. I would say 16. So we might be on 18 or so.
So like almost that. 18 years.
Yeah, 18 years.
We're not that old. Surely we're not that old. It's my birthday on Saturday.
Yeah.
Another year older. What's that song? Another year older and deeper in debt. Say something. You call me 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. That's I love that song. So anybody who knows that song, send me the title because I can't remember it. It's my birthday. We're having fun today. We're hanging out. You should see what I've been making this week. We should talk about that in a minute. It's another question.
Adrian.
Good morning, Adrian.
Rosemary, while someone is under during surgery, what is going on with that person? Are they able to leave the body during that time?
Yes, lots can go on. Speaking from my own personal experiences, having had some major, depends on how long the surgery lasts, but lots of things can go on. If, like me, you've had surgeries that last for hours, I mean, what are you going to do? You get bored sitting in your body, wouldn't you? Maybe you're just tired and you just go to sleep, or maybe you travel out of your body, or maybe you have, this is the time when many people have those phenomenal out of body experiences, and they come back and they remember them, or they remember sort of that experience of floating on the ceiling, which is when your etheric body, your spirit leaves your body, taking with it the etheric body, the same shape, the same size as the physical body. And it's almost as if you sort of, you're floating up and out of your body. And, it's an amazing feeling. It can be a scary feeling, but many people in surgery will often be able to, sort of, they describe it as looking down from the ceiling and looking to see exactly what the doctors are saying, what the doctors are wearing. And so those doctors out there, watch your language and be nice about the patient, and no insults about how fat or skinny anybody is, because you never know who's watching it. Could be the patient themselves. That's a great question, Adrian. Do we have another question, Carolyn?
We've got a bunch of happy birthday, Rosemary.
Thank you. Yes.
From Terry, Denise, and Linda. We've also got the name of that song. I'll go grab my phone if you want me to Google it real quick. It's called 16 Tons by Tennessee Ernie Ford.
That's right. It's an old one. But
and that was Chris, your friend Chris.
It was a good one. Thank you, Chris.
Dean actually found it first.
So
he couldn't send it to us quick enough.
You mean Chris was quicker than you were, Dean? All right.
A couple more happy birthdays.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you out there, for your emails, for your, all of the stuff that's going on. Thank you. And, I mean, it isn't only my birthday this Saturday. Of course, lots of people share that same day. And I hope you're all as fabulous and amazing as I am, because there's nothing nicer than a Taurian being nice. There's nothing worse, right? There's nothing worse than a Taurian being not nice. It's okay, Carolyn. Shall we have our next question?
Let's see. The next question is from Linda.
Good morning, Linda.
She says, can you speak to us about the Akashic record after death?
Well, not really, because it's not my thing. I've heard about it. But it's really not my area of expertise, and do I actually believe in such a record? It's an intricate, way too long a conversation for us to have. I do thank you for your question, but it's too complex, and my own views and my own feelings are not necessarily the views and feelings of those who believe in the concept of that record.
We've got Penelope.
Good morning, Penelope.
Penelope, her first book is currently being pitched. She would like to know if her book will get an offer from a publisher and approximately when this news will come.
You're asking me to talk about the future, aren't you, Penelope? That was a sort of a little sideways step in there. However, and normally I would say I'm not going to do that, but I'm actually going to do this because Gregor has his hand on my shoulder. So I can tell you this, as with all authors, if you persevere, there's no reason why you can't get an offer from a publisher, whether it's one that you like or not is, you know, immaterial. It might be worth you considering. I'm not saying that you should go this route, but it might be worth considering publishing and then doing your own PR for the book. That way you get all, you know, well, you don't get all of the money. You have to pay the publisher, but you get, you know, you do get more money than if you sold to a publishing house. You also have more control of it, because I think what people don't realize about publishing houses is this: they give your book a life when they first publish a book, and that life could be a week or it could be 2 weeks. If you're a new author, they're only going to give you a week to 2 weeks maximum before the, you know, if it doesn't sell in the stores, if it doesn't sell, they do minimum PR if you're a new publisher. So you have to do your own PR as well as, you know, working with the publisher. And after 2 weeks, if it doesn't sell, they drop you. They pull the book back from the bookstores, and that's the end of you. That's because, to be fair to the publishing houses, they have trillions of people sending in books and sending in all sorts of stuff. So, you know, publishing houses, especially the large publishing houses, they put most of their energy and most of their time and effort into the authors who are already successful, or if you happen to know someone who knows someone in the publishing world, that's another way to get your book accepted and an offer made by a publishing house. So if you know a publishing house, if you know people in publishing, that would be the route to go. You know, I'm sure there are hundreds of thousands of books out there that should be on the bestseller list, but they've been dumped in the slush pile, because the process of publishing is you send your book in and it goes to the little girl who answers the telephone, and she reads it, or it could be the little boy who answers the telephone. They read it. If they doesn't grab them, they chuck it out. Before any editor sees it, it goes to the girl who answers the telephone, and then it goes to the person who answers the telephone or is in charge of the girl who answers the telephone. And it's the slush pile. And I'm going to say that probably, and you know, if anybody out there is a publisher or work for publishing, you could tell me the exact number, but I'm going to say something like 90 to even 95% of all books that are, you know, sent to a publishing house end up on the slush pile. If you know someone, or if you've got a great agent, which I had a great agent who put it in front of a particular editor, and they worked together, and Warner Books, who published my first book, The Eagle and the Rose, which became a New York Times bestseller, was dropped by Warner after 2 weeks because Warner's fault, although I get it why they did it. I'm a new author, so they decide to only print so many books. Well, they flew out of the stores very, very fast, and in those days they couldn't print more books fast enough. So we dropped off the bestseller lists. We dropped off of and so Warner dropped us. Well, we dropped off because there were no books to sell, and if there are no books to sell, nobody's counting how many books you've sold. So after 2 weeks, I was dropped, but I had a fabulous agent and I had a fabulous editor, and who I shall be forever grateful to, who believed in me and they believed in the work that I do. And they were the ones who pushed it and got us another 2 weeks, at which point more books were printed, more books went into the stores, more books sold. Bingo, we've got on the bestseller list. But I can assure you, it is not. Who is this Penelope, I can assure you, darling.
Say something else if you want me to.
Yes, go ahead.
She said, yes, I have an amazing agent, same agent as best-selling authors Eckhart Tolle and Neil Donald.
Well, you're
Walsh.
good then. That's great then. So that agent will know where to go. So make sure that another thing you have to do is you have to talk to your agent, because I'm sure your agent sounds like you've got, that agent's got lots of good people there. Make sure he gives you as much attention as he gives all of his other stars. So keep pushing him and talking to him and encouraging him to do the best for you. And that way you do have a very good chance of getting your book accepted. Then comes the roundabout, how are you going to get the public to know that your book is out there? Because if the public don't know it, it won't sell. It's a complicated business, and I think we're done with all this.
Got a couple of questions.
Right, let's go. No more questions about publishing. No more questions about books. Anyway.
Bob and Jan said happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, good morning, Bob. Good morning, Jan. Sorry I missed you, Bob. Why did you let me know at the last minute?
Your back was out anyway.
My back was out anyway. I couldn't have done it. You're right, Carolyn. You're right. Okay.
We did talk about that.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, so Vicky says,
Vicky, good morning.
my son told me he thought he was going to die young, which he did. How did he know this?
Well, first of all, Vicky, let me just say, you all know how I feel by now, I'm pretty sure. I think the worst kind of loss is the loss of a child. So my heart goes out to you, darling. I firmly believe that prior to our passing, for every one of us, we have warning. It's not necessarily, that big warning that, comes, you're going to die today. But we have, a feeling, I must get my will drawn up, or I must put my house in order, or I must, we have our angels who come to us, who give us insights. And so we have these feelings and we have a sense of what is going to happen to us. I would say that your son was an extremely sensitive and very aware young man. And so he knew without knowing, and often we know without knowing. And the amazing thing is, that some of us choose to ignore it. And so we refuse to write the will. So many people are afraid to write a will because they think that if they write the will, that signs their death warrant. I've written my will and now they're going to take me. That's not true at all. So I would advise all of you out there to write your will so that you don't have any family issues or any family arguments. Make sure what you have, your worldly goods, whether it be an old dusty book that you've had for donkey's years, or whether it's millions and trillions of dollars and property and so on. Doesn't matter what it is. Make sure that it's written down, that it's signed, that there are witnesses. Just make sure that whatever property you have goes where you want it to go. If you don't care, that's okay. Let them have at it. But it saves arguments and it saves upsets, and it's just, I think it's just the right thing to do. My daughter's going to get all of what I've got, and oh, wait a minute, maybe not, because I've got my grandson now. I have to think about that. Whatever, she'll be in charge of all of it. Even if some of it does go to Reese, she'll be in charge of all of it until such time as he's old enough to have whatever it is that I give to him. I found the other day I was sorting out stuff. This is how I did my back in. I'm sorting out the garage and all the stuff and all the old stuff. And I found an old Pinocchio book the other day. And I won it when I was 11 years old. I won this book. I can't even remember what for now. Swimming, I think it was. I swam 3 strokes. 11, still can't swim properly. So that's a little treasure. There are lots of little treasures that we have. So, you can always write little labels and say, this is for this person, that's for that person. Luckily, I've only got, you know, one who also only has one. So I don't have to worry about that sort of stuff. Karen, what are you going to do with all your, if you popped off tomorrow, if you popped your clogs tomorrow, who gets what you've got? Your mother?
I don't have a lot.
Don't worry. I'm not, but are there things that you would like to go to anybody in particular?
Yeah,
so, you know, I'm not saying you're going to pop your clogs down. You've got quite a while yet. But I, you know, I just think it's the sensible thing, and it saves family upsets and arguments down the road. Let's have our next question.
I am says, today is your birthday, Rosemary?
Saturday.
Many happy
Who
returns.
is this?
I am. Just
I am.
initials.
Good job.
Many happy returns of the day. I
Thank
saw
you.
a street named Grey Eagle recently. Hope to see more.
Where is that? Where did he say it? I'd
I
like
know,
to
I
know.
am.
But
Let us
anyway,
know.
thank you. I am. I love the name. I am. Thank you for the birthday wishes.
And Matthew.
Matthew, good morning, Matthew.
We have talked about time in the spirit world.
Yes, we have.
Would you say the time is non-existent or just slower or faster compared to ours?
I wouldn't actually say that it's a good question. Gosh, I think Gregor's put his hand on my shoulder here. So I wouldn't say that time is non-existent. No, I wouldn't. There are lots of reasons for saying that, but oh gosh, is it slower or faster? It's different. You know, there's no way that I can actually pull up. This is a great question, Matthew. I have to think about this some more. But there's no way that I can actually pull up a comparison for you, except that this might set the cat among the pigeons a little bit. What is happening for us in this moment, as soon as I say this moment, of course that moment's gone, right? But in this space of time that we are in right now, what is happening to us has already in some way happened. It's already done. We're sort of a little behind the time, which is why some of us are able to see into the future. Isn't that amazing? So it's like, you know, you think you've had this amazing idea. Oh, I know what I'll do. Like, you know, you're spontaneously going to make a cake. They already knew. They probably knew it was going to get burned or something, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's, you know, we're sort of, sometimes it's linear time. Sometimes we're on this sort of the same level, but there's also that, you know, they're ahead of the game here. That those in the spirit world, when I say they, you know who I mean. They're a little bit ahead of the game. They can see where we're headed. They can see, yeah, I'm sure sometimes they have to duck, close their eyes, because they can see it's heading towards disaster, and there's nothing they can do about it because we're not listening to them, because we're so busy with our iPads, our iPhones, our plugs in our ears and all that. We're not listening when they're saying to us, don't go there, don't do that. So I'm sure that there are times when they just want to duck on our behalf, or want to scream at us to say, don't do that, or don't say that, or what have you. But they're always ahead of us, that's for sure. They're always ahead of us. We don't surprise them, they surprise us. Karen, do you want to say anything here? Are you enjoying yourself here?
Yeah,
it's been pouring with rain. There's been no sunshine. We were going to go to the beach, even though my back is still out. Not so bad today as it was. So it's getting, that heat, keep sending that healing, people. To keep sending that healing. I'm not sure it's working, but it makes me feel pampered just the same. And it's great having Karen here, because on Saturday, it's my birthday on Saturday. Did I say that already? I think I did. All right. I love birthdays. I make lots and lots of birthdays. We're having an English cream tea. So lots of baking. So it's slightly more than an English cream tea, because an English cream tea is dainty cucumber sandwiches and little cakes and cream cakes and things like that. Not in this house. We're having salmon en croûte. We're going to have a nice chicken salad. We're going to have some tomatoes in balsamic vinegar with some chopped apricots. And doesn't that sound horrible? But it's really delicious. So we're going to have all of that good stuff. But we're also, Karen is helping me. What have we made this week?
Oh, we've made the cheese crackers or whatever.
Well,
what are they? Cheese,
cheddar cheeses,
shortbreads,
which are my little cheese invention.
We've made
Little delicious cheesy crackers.
we've made scones.
Scones. Yeah, we have. We've made sultana scones and cheesy some things. Cheddar cheeses. What else?
The almond tarts.
We made almond tarts. We made 24
Very
almond
difficult.
tarts, and we had one each.
It's very
And
difficult.
the rest are in the freezer because they freeze perfectly. And Karen helped me with those, didn't you? She does the cleanup, stuff like that. We've made 2 lots of pesto. We've made potted beef because we're going to have that on crackers and bread or something crusty, nice crusty bread. What else did we make? Shortbread and all sorts of things.
Lots of things we can't touch right now.
Lots of things we can't touch. Yes, the freezer's filled.
Right now.
Filled. So anyway, that's out my Saturday. Yes.
I am says that her name is, or his name is actually Isis. ISIS.
Oh, nice, Isis. You want to come for tea Saturday?
And then it's Gray Eagle Street in Colorado Springs,
Oh,
Colorado.
fabulous, wonderful. Well, Al, wherever Al is, I'm not sure he's with us at all today, but he's in Colorado too. So, what a fabulous place it is. Do we have any questions, or are we just chitter-chattering here? Let's have some. Let's go for it then.
Starshine asks.
Good morning, Starshine again.
My granddaughter asked me an interesting question the other day. When your soul moves on from the spirit world, can we be born to another world or species, or do we come back to Earth?
That's an interesting question. We can pretty much, we have, when we leave this earth, we have choices, all of us. Some of us choose to come back here and do this all again. Some of us choose to travel the universe. Some of us choose to stay and work with our angels or with people who need our help. There are many, many, many choices. And remember, the universe and the many universes that are out there offer us, these choices. However, we are souls born to this earth. When we were created with the earth's energy. So even though now I'm asking Grey Eagle this, can we travel anywhere we want to go in the universe, the many universes that are out there? And he tells me no, but we still have choices, right? And we still have choices. But remember, our soul is created from the energy of earth, fire, water, air, and sulfur, which are all the earth elements that make this earth of ours. So our soul is created from those earth elements. So, if we chose to go outside of that, I mean, she mentioned aliens, I think, or something like that. So if we chose to go out of that earthly element, different species, I mean, I'm not sure if we could visit, but I don't think we could probably stay. I don't know, really. I'm not sure. It's a good question. Your daughter asks good questions. Granddaughter. Yeah, good for her. She seems very smart to me. Good question.
Adrian asked the same question I was wondering.
Yes,
actually.
Adrian. Yes.
Rosemary, are you going to watch the royal wedding?
No.
And you see good things about it. You're not.
No. I'm sorry. Look, years ago, I know it was a great tragedy when Princess Diana passed. It really was. And I can remember an American friend, I was in Vermont at the time, and an American friend came to commiserate with me. She knocked on the door, and she, sometime it's sort of in the early afternoon, and she stood there. I didn't know her very well. She said, "You must be really devastated." So I thought I'd come and maybe go for a walk or something, which was lovely of her. However, when she walked into my kitchen, to my shame, I'd been shopping that morning, and because I'd had an agenda, and I'm an earth sign, I have to have a plan. And she looked at all this good stuff that I'd been out shopping for. If I'm going to, if I'm going to do something like that, you know, if I'm going to celebrate someone's life, I'm going to celebrate someone's life. And, you know, and I didn't think that, you know, wearing black and in mourning and all the rest of it was appropriate. It's not appropriate for me, because even with my father's funeral, I wore a white cream, actually, suit, put on my makeup and all the rest of it. And I went out there looking exactly as my father would have wanted me to look. Celebrating his life. And I know that everybody thinks that, you know, it's probably disrespectful and so on, but no one in my family said anything, because they know how weird I am and odd I am and all the rest of it. But I think that you need to, when you're thinking about, you know, whether it's weddings, funerals, births, whatever it is, you have to think about how you want to celebrate that person. We're celebrating my birthday on that day. I'm so happy that they chose my birthday to get married on. I mean, how nice of them to do that for me. I wish them all the best. I mean, they have so many, you know, great opportunities to make a great marriage and all the rest of it. So, but no, I will not be. We'll be having our cream tea. We'll be celebrating my birthday, right, Karen? Karen's very disappointed because she wanted to watch the royal wedding.
Well, it is at 5 in the morning, so you could get up.
You can get up and watch it. I'm
that means
not
we
getting.
can have a scone at 5 in the morning.
No.
I've waited all week for a scone. I can start at 5 on Saturday.
No, sorry, no. And we're going to eat them English style, you know. You know what an English style scone is? You split it, you put butter on it, then you put some kind of nice preserve, strawberry preserve, or we think we've got red currant or something preserve on the top of that. Then you get some delicious heavy whipped cream, or preferably, we can't get it here unfortunately, or, you know, some sort of Devon cream or something like that, you know, just really. And then you plop that on the top of that. And now you've got two halves of the scone. You can't open your mouth wide enough to get it in, but you try. And that's how we eat our scones when we have cream teas. Next question.
Isis actually has another question.
Yes.
Why are there so many psychic mediums in England? Are there more ley lines there? More energy spots there? And regarding your tea, she says she grew up drinking 5 cups of tea a day, cucumber sandwiches. She had an Aussie mom.
Oh, right. Well, we're actually not going to be drinking tea. we're actually not going to be drinking tea. Who was that lovely guy who asked, you know, was I bevied up?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I don't drink often, but I think we might be having some champagne and maybe some vodka and some rum and coke or whatever else.
So you might be bevied up.
But we might be bevied up on my birthday, but we're not going to be drinking tea, because I actually am not allowed to drink tea. It's very dangerous for me to drink tea, because tea leaves have oxalates, which are really dangerous for me. So I can't drink tea anyway. So that's my excuse for drinking rum instead. But anyway, all right. So what was the question?
Why are there so many psychic mediums in England?
Well,
because the ley lines,
you know, it's a very ancient country. We're very fey. The word fey means sensitive or intuitive or whatever. We're a very fey country, and you know, I mean, we grew up with all the old myths and so on and so forth. Yes, of course, England is a small island, so lots and lots of ley lines. Ley lines, the people have ley lines all over the world. Those of you who don't know what ley lines are energy, fields of energy that run, sometimes they cross and so on and so forth. If you build across a ley line that's not good for you, what's going on? Somebody's asking a question here.
Put your vodka or rum in a teapot.
Yes, I could do that, but I don't actually. Horror of all horrors, I'm British and I don't own a teapot.
Oh my.
Just so you know, because I can't drink tea. And I love tea actually, but I can't drink it. So I think that, you know, when you go back to mediumship, you go back to England, because the start of the Spiritist Association, England was the first to have such a thing, well over 100, I'm going to say perhaps 150 years ago now, the SAGB was formed, the Spiritualist Association of Great Britain was formed, still going to this day, and lots of other organizations and associations. So I think that British people are very much, we grew up with it, and we grew up with the myths and the fairies and the elves and all of that stuff that we grew up with, and it's a part of us and it's a part of our heritage. So I think that we're sort of, maybe, dare I say this, maybe more in tune than perhaps those who live in a country like America, where you came here and you had to do hard work, hard labor. Not that they didn't do the same in England, but perhaps they left the myths behind. I think that's probably one of those reasons. Do you have anything to say about that?
I was just thinking of the Native community.
Yeah.
Right? Like there are certain medicine people in different countries.
Oh yeah.
Right? They just might not be considered mediums.
Well,
or
yes, but very spiritual.
shaman.
Very spiritual.
Yeah.
There are lots of nations that have a spirituality about them. Believe it or not, the Chinese. I mean, I've been to China, and some of the amazing myths and stories that they have in China. Sort of people. I think people in most countries are perhaps more aware than we realize, especially the older, the older communities, like myself, as an old lady on Saturday. Now, what's next? The question.
Actually, I was just going to say I saw something recently on the travel show about China and how this famous man, I'm sure he had a high position, but he believed that when he died, he needed to have an army with him. And so he had statues of army men built around his
shrine. China is a country of wonderful myth, wonderful stories, and many of the myths everywhere around the world, many of our myths are based on truths. When I went into China the first time, and in fact, and thereafter, I would be invited to parties, and I would be invited to go speak to people and so on and so forth. And the first time it happened to me, it was so strange. This little old lady came up to me, Chinese lady came up to me, and I noticed that she got her hand on my back, and she was rubbing up and down my spine. The hand was going up and down my spine. I turned, I'm thinking, what's she doing? And then and she went off, and then somebody else came and did the same thing, and so on and so forth. And eventually it sort of got to be a bit weird, and eventually I said to the person I was with, who was themselves Chinese and part of the community that we'd gone to visit, I said, they keep coming up and touching me, touching my back. What's going on with that? Oh, he said, they're trying to feel your wings, to feel the buds of your wings, because a lot of those people considered me to be an angel, because, well, should I say I am? I'm not really, but they considered me to be an angel because to them, in their belief, if you have the gift of sight, and if you have the gift of talking to the dead and so on, some of the older cultures believe, therefore, you are an angel come to heaven. And so people were actually, and it didn't happen just once or twice, it happened quite a lot, that people would sort of very surreptitiously come up behind me and touch my back. They were looking for the buds of my wings, which I keep well hidden.
Yes, you must.
What do you think, Karen? Have you ever seen the buds of my wings there?
Yeah. I saw something protruding out your bra on the back there.
All right, let's have another question.
Matthew asks.
Yes, good morning. Again, this is the same Matthew? Okay,
yes,
let's go again.
Our etheric body, is that the same as consciousness mass, or is that term used to describe interdimensional spiritual beings?
The etheric body is made up of our spiritual energy. In fact, our aura, if you like, it's that thing that houses our soul. Same shape, same size. For instance, if you look at someone's aura, it's exactly the shape and size of their physical body. Your etheric body is the body or the form that the soul uses, or the spirit uses. The soul uses. The spirit is the energy of the soul. Let's get that right. Okay, so we have the spirit, which is the aura, which is the light, which is the energy, which surrounds the soul, encases the soul, keeps the soul intact, so to speak. It houses the soul. That is called the etheric or the spirit body. Same shape, same size as our physical body. Yes, next question.
Let's see. Linda says to tell you anti-inflammatory meds helped her back plus chiropractic.
I've tried it.
Uh,
Look, I have the best masseuse. Karen is a, right? Go on. Speak.
Huh?
What are
Well, a registered massage therapist.
There you are. She's the best. She does deep tissue massage, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of.
And she does. You do pediatric stuff, that sort of thing. You do for
I
children.
work in the sports
And
injury clinic.
she works. Yeah, there you are. And
I work on all kinds of things, lots of different things.
Yeah.
Motor vehicle accidents, post-operative work. Lots of backs.
Lots of backs. Not mine.
Not
like disc
Rosemary's.
and yeah.
Not mine. Look, here's the deal. I tell everybody, I've got a weird back. I've got some plastic bits in there. I've got some bits missing. I'm missing a rib. I'm missing all sorts of stuff. I've got 2 very, very large scars going all the way around one half of my. Now, you can't tell, can you? Because I look great. You would never, ever know. I'm telling you this now because when you read the new book, there's somewhat of a little story in there about that. So I don't want you to be shocked when you read it. So, but I'm missing bits and I've got added bits and all the rest of it. And so many years ago, I was told, my spine is kind of just very slightly off. So it doesn't take much to put my back out. I do appreciate all of your advice and help and so on.
You have to be careful with medication.
I have to be very careful with medication because, of other stuff. But Karen, she puts the cream, you put the cream on my back, don't you? And she advises me of things to do. But I don't like anyone touching my back because I'm nervous about it. But I do quite well, really, don't I? Would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, you do.
Right. See?
somebody said it's your wing buds trying to break free.
There you go.
Could be.
Somebody else said try acupuncture.
Oh, acupuncture is the best. Acupuncture is the best. And years ago, when I was in England, there was the most amazing acupuncturist. We're getting on to the issue of me, and then let's get on to the questions. But lots of acupuncturists. I took my daughter to several acupuncturists who weren't good and didn't know what they were doing. But if you find someone who's good, that's the way to go. Let's have another question, shall we?
Pretty much asked all the questions for today.
That's it?
Yeah.
Right then. So
people are talking more about your back, and
it's really sweet of you. This is not what this program is about.
Isis is saying, thank you. It's awesome listening to you like I was in the room with you. So special, and you look fantastic today.
Thank you. Thank you. You keep coming with those compliments. If you do have issues, we talked about children and we talked about, seeing things and so on. If you do have issues, email us. We'll do our best to try to, what's happening here?
I'm checking the mailbox real quick just to make sure it's not in there.
We're just checking to see if the book came today. I don't think it's in the mailbox because I think it's coming via FedEx. But if you do have questions, you can email us, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. As I've said, we're out of space right now, so just keep emailing us. We're buying more space. Within the next half an hour, we're going to be buying more space. I do need, if anybody out there is techie and wants to volunteer help or advice on the techie stuff, we do need somebody to do that for us. And if we also, if you have any questions, if you have any issues especially with children, email us, Rosemary@rosemaryaltea. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram and all of those other things. Forgive me if I don't reply all the time because there's so many of you that I just can't get to it. It's impossible for me to get to it. think of me when you wake up on Saturday morning. And all of those of you who share my birthday with me, happy, happy birthday. For all of you who are watching and today is your birthday, this is what I like to do. And I've always done it. My birthday lasts for a week. My daughter's birthday lasts for a week. My grandson's birthday lasts for a week. If you're here with me and it's your birthday will also last for a week. You can't just celebrate the day. You have to sort of, do something, every day that's special for at least 5 to 7 days. So we're going to be eating all this good food on Saturday, and on Sunday, Karen and I, we're going to indulge. We're going to go to the movies. We're going to whatever we're going to do. We're going to eat all the leftovers. What are we going to do?
Maybe beach.
Maybe to the beach. We're going to be not going. Yeah, for shopping for you for sure. We're going to be, just have fun. You can have it leading up to your birthday and after your birthday, or you can wait for your birthday. I like to wait for my birthday and then celebrate every day after that in some small way by indulging. Tonight, what we're going to be doing is we're watching Victoria. We're watching season 2. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm loving every minute of it. Karen, are you loving every minute of it? And we're going to have a little drambuie. You never heard me use the word drambuie before, did you? Nice liqueur. We did try to get some Benedictine, but we couldn't get any because that's my real favourite. All we've done today is talk about food and booze. So we'll stop now. Please send in your questions. Email us, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com, isn't it? No, Rosemary Altea, right? So email us, rosemary@rosemaryaltea. Watch for us on Facebook, on Twitter, and so on and so forth. And we've missed Al today. I don't think we'll get him for whatever reason. He couldn't get in today, but that's all right. We managed quite well without him, but we'll hopefully see him next week. I'd like to say thank you, Karen, for being here. Do you want to say anything to anybody before you clear off? Because she's leaving on Monday, so she won't be here this next week, will you? Will you be watching?
I'll try. I'm volunteering that.
Oh, she volunteers for sick kids, so
yeah.
Right.
12 days for me.
What?
12 days, not smoking.
Oh, 12 days, Carolyn, 12 days, no smoking. Good for you. Congratulations to you. All right. If you need to know any more about us or you want to join in, or if you really want to sit on our sofa,
come and join the sofa.
Let us know. Send us an email. And the book is published on Saturday. We'll show you it on next Thursday because we know it's coming sometime today is all we know, but we're very excited about that. So until I see you again next week, please, in the meantime, have a very, 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 think of us eating cream scones. Think of us eating, I'm not making a birthday cake because I personally don't like cake. Even though I do make delicious cakes, I don't eat them. So think of us eating our cream teas, our chocolate eclairs, our scones with cream and all that. And in the meantime, till I see you again next week, have a very, 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 very blessed day.